Welcome back to the O Hockey Show. Now, today I am wearing a toque because we're talking about the Minnesota Wild. Woo! Okay, so now the Wild, you might already have noticed that I have a star next to a name, or what is supposed to be a star. And that is because Kirill Kaprizov is the best player on this team. Through this series, I've been going through all the teams, and some teams, like the Boston Bruins, is what I was trying to hope for. The Bruins, Carolina, where I can make a debate between who is the best player on the team and why. And you never know. Maybe there's a dark horse candidate. With some teams, like, say, the Edmonton Oilers, like, say, the Colorado, well, actually, no, Colorado's kind of debatable, or Columbus, really, and Chicago especially, there's really no pick. Chicago, Patrick Kane. Columbus, Johnny Hockey now. There's no debate here, and the same thing for the Wild. Nobody is going to pick above Kirill Kaprizov. Nobody on this team is going to break out and be a better player than him this year. This guy is setting franchise records in his first full season, but his second season in the NHL. Kirill Kaprizov is an absolute stud. The future is now for the Minnesota Wild. This kid, he's like 26 or something like that. But, still way in his prime. This guy, incredible player, obvious pick. Nobody's going to be better than him. But I would like to take a look at everybody else and see who will be his number two guy. Who will be the guy to lead the Minnesota Wild on their campaign this season. Now, personally, I would just like to say about Kaprizov, I don't think he gets back to 108 points this year. I think with I know Kevin Fiala, he didn't play with him or whatever. I don't even know. But I don't see this team doing as well as they did this year as they did last year. But that's besides the point. Anyways, moving on. So, let's take a look at the guy with the second amount of points on this team, which would have been Kevin Fiala, but that guy was traded away this offseason for cap space. So, let's move on to Matt Zuccarello, the guy that played along with him. 79 points, 24 goals, 55 assists. Matt Zuccarello, he's always been known for his speed, and because he's a smaller guy, so he's got to use that speed to his advantage. And it works out well for him. 79 points. That's pretty good for this guy. Now, he is getting up there in age, and you can only imagine how long he can go until he starts to kick out. And, he's shown no signs of regressing. 79 points, that is still incredible. Does a lot better than, a lot of other guys in the NHL that are younger than him. So, there's really no sign of him stopping, but you never know. That maybe this is the season that ends and things could be bad for him. Now, would anybody choose really Matt Zuccarello above another player to be the best on the Wild? I don't think so. I don't think anybody would say Zuccarello is better than Kaprizov. So, Zuccarello, I feel like you can wipe out of the equation. But someone that you could say is more important than Kirill Kaprizov is Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, the Vezina goaltender, this guy is amazing. We all know it. But the thing, once again, that I have to question is Fleury's age. And I know he seems to only be getting better as he gets older. But you got to think at some point things are going to start falling apart. It's not going to last forever. But the thing that I like about the Wild that works perfectly for Fleury is that this is a defensively well-built team. Their defense is amazing. Dumba, Spurgeon, Brodin, Middleton. This team, all three pairings, is amazing. And behind them is Marc-Andre Fleury. So defensively, this team is stacked. But the thing I think that might take away from Fleury, though, because he might not have to make those highlight saves and be the amazing goaltender that he is, because he won't need to be. This team made Cam Talbot look like a god. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury's in net, and I feel like this team will be super hard to score against. But at the same time, it might hurt Fleury as an individual because he won't need to be as that stellar goaltender and make those crazy saves as he usually does because the Wild are just so well defensively. So that might hurt his overall amazingness rankings. Just let's call it that. So let's move on to Ryan Hartman, the guy that broke out and I added to my fantasy team. 65 points now. I liked Ryan Hartman. I liked I liked the fight in him in the playoffs. I feel like he was the only real guy on the Wild that was seen to really be trying hard and putting everything out there. That's just my observation. So For me, I like Hartman, but 65 points. I know it was this breakout year, but I do not put a lot of stock into 1 year wonders. So until Ryan Hartman shows to me again that he can be that player again this year, I don't put a lot of stock into him. Forever, he's been like, what, a third line player, and now this last season he gets to 65 points. A lot of players have those one crazy breakout ones, and he just luckily got up to 65. So I like Hartman. I like his fight in the playoffs. To me, he was the only real guy fighting. In the Winter Classic, he seemed the only to me he was the only real Wild. Like, I really kept noticing, but that the game seemed to revolve around him for some reason, though. So I will say that. But anyways, Ryan Hartman, I like the guy, but I don't put a lot of stock into one season. So I want to see what he can do this year before I make any real calls about him. Next, I put on the board Joel Eriksson Ek. Now, I could have put other guys. I could have put Matt Boldy. I could have put like Frederick Gaudreau, but I went with Joel Eriksson Ek because I think out of the guys in the playoffs where things matter, I feel like he really showed up, and that's where I think I just like him. I like Joel Eriksson Ek. 49 points last year. I would like to see more from him. I would like to see him do better, especially with this team, but maybe with the clearing of Kevin Fiala, maybe he will get some sort of more time maybe to flourish, like take his mantle on this team. And I would like to see him do more. In my eyes, I've always seen Eriksson Ek to be a young guy that could have that breakout anytime, but the time's moving on, kind of like for Jacob Chikrin, where I'm like, I don't know, things seem to maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But he's always seemed like that type of guy that can make that jump. And to me, he's a perfect candidate to be like a crazy out of nowhere. Take Ryan Hartman's spot to be like the 70 points player. Get like 35 goals and 35 assists and get 70 points, you know? Like, he's always been that type of guy that I can see breaking out and doing that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was this year because they need that guy to replace Kevin Fiala's spot. And then last I put on the board is Marco Rossi. Now, I didn't put any defensemen, but that's just, for me personally, none of their defense as a whole is great. But individually, I mean, guys like Spurgeon's great, but I would never put Spurgeon as their best player. Matt Dumba, no way. Brodin is good, but there's no way that I would put any of them as more important than a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury. And I put Rossi on the board because I like Marco Rossi. I've always, when I saw his clips, I was like, this guy is gonna be good. I know I hate when people say things like just general statements about themselves, but for me personally, I have called and predicted a lot of things in the past. I'm pretty good at telling the future. I'm pretty good at choosing who will be good and who won't be. And for me personally, I put a lot of stock in Marco Rossi. He seems to be that type of guy that could definitely make that jump in the NHL. And, maybe not this year. Maybe this might not be the year, but this guy will be a star one day. I can tell you that. Because with his size, he's only 5'9". It will take him a little bit more time to transition and learn to be the player that he can be. But who knows? Maybe he will be the one guy that does take that step earlier in his career. But usually I think it takes guys that are smaller to adapt to the NHL and the physicality and the playing style. So Rossi, maybe not this year, makes that breakout and is that superstar, but I can tell you, of prospects that are going to be growing, I put a lot into Marco Rossi. He will be a star. Maybe not this year, but he will be. But out of this list, who would I say is the second most important guy? For me personally, I would have to give it probably to Marc-Andre Fleury. Because even if this team's defense collapses, even if, let's say, Spurgeon gets injured and they trade away Matt Dumba, right? So Dumba's out and they have to bring in some random AHL defenseman and Spurgeon gets injured. Matt Murray. Marc-Andre Fleury will be there. He will be that guy. He is that type of goaltender. I don't think his age is going to affect him at all, and I think these last 2 years with this on his contract with the Wild will be a good run. I think he will do good. I think this team will make it to the playoffs. I think Marc-Andre Fleury is this team with Fleury at his best and together, instead of starting with Talbot in the playoffs or whatever they did screw in the playoffs, I think a combination of all these factors, this team will do good, and I think Fleury and Kaprizov will be the faces of this team. But tell me how down below how wrong I am. Tell me how Ryan Hartman will be that breakout guy, and he will get 90,000 points this year. Tell me all that down below, and until next time, please pick up your free subscription by hitting that red subscribe button. If you liked this video, leave a like, not a dislike, but go down below to the comment section, and if my finger doesn't look weird, it's because I'm holding a marker. Go to that comment section and tell me down below how wrong I am. But until next time, I have been your dapperly dressed host, Owen. Till next time, too sweet. I hope you're having an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.